Hey, what's good, everybody? I'd like to welcome you guys to a brand new episode of the Boombox Guru. I'm your host, LB, and on today's episode, we're going to be doing a review on what I think is a very often overlooked, somewhat of a footnote album in Prince's discography. So today, we're going to be reviewing his 18th studio album called Chaos and Disorder, released in 1996, as you can see right here. And so a little bit about this album. This was Prince's last album to be released on Warner Brothers to fulfill his contractual obligations. So there was very little promotion that went behind this record. Prince only released one single from the album, which was Dinner and Dolores, and it was only released in the United Kingdom. And it was a top 40 hit over there, and he shot a video to it. And there was also another song on the album called The Same December, which was never released as a single, but he did shoot a video for that. But Prince did limited promotion for this record because it was sandwiched in between the Gold Experience and Emancipation. And at the time that this album had come out, Prince was pretty much already knee deep in working on Emancipation, which was the album that it was supposed to signify his new journey, his new independence from Warner Brothers. And like I said, this was his last album for Warner Brothers for 18 years. That was until, in 2014 when he released the Plectrum Electrum album with his band Third Eye Girl. That was his first album with Warner Brothers in 18 years, but it was under another deal, a different type of deal. That deal was actually allowed him to have control of his masters, which was one of the main issues he had with Warner Brothers for a number of years during this time. But yeah, of course, Chaos and Disorder. This record came out during the whole widely publicized dispute with him and Warner Brothers. So it often gets overlooked. A lot of people kind of chalk this album up as subpar material, and honestly, I think that's far from the truth. I mean, to each his own. Some people like this record, some people don't. But I tend to like this record because it's one of Prince's most rock oriented records. I think it's his heaviest rock album, to be honest with you, man. So many heavy riffs, some insanely awesome guitar solos, lots of shredding, lots of blues and hard rock influences. Of course, there is a funk presence on the record. I mean, a Prince album ain't a Prince album if there's not any funky moments on it, man. So there's some funky moments on there, but for the most part, this is a shred fest, man. Just awesome guitar work on here, man. This is the quintessential album for any Prince fan that really enjoys when he's grinding that axe, man. I will direct anybody to this record, man, because it has what I was looking for as far as like his more rock oriented material. But let's go on to get into some of these songs on the record. So the album starts off with the title track, Chaos and Disorder, which really sets the tone for the record. I mean, a very heavy hard rock number that opens up the album. I mean, they just kick it off full-fledged, full throttle. And Rosie Gaines is on this song. Rosie Gaines actually appears on 5 songs on this record, which was her return after she left the MPG back in '91. So she returns and appears on this song and a few others on this record. So that was a really great thing to hear, was Rosie Gaines on this album again, because her and Prince was a really great combination, and it really shows and proves on this record. But anyway, Chaos and Disorder kicks off the record. Full-fledged hard rock number. And I like the subject matter because the song is basically contrasting how things used to be in the past to where they were at that point in 1996. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that Prince is talking about is still kind of relevant to today. He's contrasting how certain things used to be simpler, or sort of kind of, I guess, not as negative, maybe. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but he's contrasting basically how things used to be to where they were at that point. Like, there's a line where he says carjack used to mean flat tire. Well, we know now carjack means somebody's stealing your car, somebody's robbing you for your car, and so forth. And then there's one part where he says he's gay used to mean he's happy, where we know now he's gay is now in reference to someone's sexuality, or maybe used as in a derogatory term to insult somebody or whatever. So a lot of things like that. And then there's a couple lines on there which is rumored, these two lines where he says big joints never got you higher, free bass cost you in the end. It's a rumor that those lines were directed at Rick James. Now, most of us know by now about the whole rivalry between Prince and Rick James that dated back to 1980 when Prince opened up for Rick James. You know, there was some points of contention between them, those two camps. So a lot of people have said that those two lines at the end of that first verse were directed at Rick James, who I think by the time this album had came out, he had been released from prison. But the recording dates for this record are from between 1993, May 1993, and April 1996. So depending on when that song was recorded, Rick James might have still been in prison at the time. But it is rumored that those lines were directed at him. So the next song is I Like It There. And this is another heavy rock number. I think it's a bit more heavier than Chaos in Disorder. There's a lot more heavy guitar riffs, a lot more just shredding going on, a little bit more of a bluesy feel to the song. And this is Prince going back to his more like provocative style, because the song is essentially about him ejaculating inside of a woman, or judging by the lyrics, it could be about him ejaculating on a woman. But that's what I take from it. You can take it either way. It's not too much of a of a big difference, man. But it's more of that raunchy, provocative Prince that most of us really like. And but I just really dig this song because it has a great solo and such a heavy riff, especially during the chorus part. Like the guitars come in real heavy and pounding and punchy, man. So I really did that track. Then Dinner with Dolores, which is the only single that was released from the record. This is a more lighter, more softer rock track, a little bit more mellower compared to the two previous songs. And it's been rumored that this song was a diss towards Madonna, but honestly, I don't know if that's the case. Maybe Prince might have been using the song as both as kind of a double entendre or something. Maybe it was a few lines in there that was directed at Madonna. I think him and her had a rift at that time. But if you read deeper into the lyrics, the song is actually more about his relationship with Warner Brothers. Because the song on the surface level, it's about being on an uncomfortable date with somebody that you really don't connect with. Like, he's describing this woman as being all about sex and so forth. You know, she wants to show dirty movies and she's just all about sex and so forth, and he's not really into that. He's moved beyond that. So it could be about his relationship with Warner Brothers, where they were wanting him to continue in the vein of the 80s, where, you know, Prince was a lot more provocative and sexually explicit, but he had a lot more commercial success, and Warner Brothers was constantly pressuring him into continuing in that vein, but he didn't want to do that anymore. He was moving forward. He was evolving as a musician and as an artist. So it can be interpreted either of those ways. The Madonna slights, I don't know. There could be a couple in there. Then, you know, The Same December, which the song was not released as a single, but it actually did have a really cool video that was done for it. Really great song. This is Prince going back more to this is the album gearing back more towards the more harder rock approach. This song kind of has kind of like an arena rock kind of vibe to it. It's very anthemic in nature, man. Like, you hear a lot of the organs and keyboards and just the full band, horns and stuff coming in. Lots of great guitar work on there. But the song is about racial equality and things of that nature. Everybody just unifying and being together with each other. But, you know, really powerful message and a really cool video that I urge everybody to go check out. And then the next song is Right the Wrong, another more politically charged song on the record. This one is about injustices. You know, I think the first verse is about, you know, how the Native Americans had their land taken from them. You know, there's a line where he says, I got 6 feet of it back, where most that was the only way most of them got their land back was when they died. And then the second verse, I believe, from what I took from it, was about a young man who is on his first offense. He gets caught up in a crime and they just throw the book at him and give him like some hard years and so forth. So that the song is about, injustices and things of that nature, having things taken from you unfairly and such. And that this could also be, in a deeper meaning, it could be metaphorical for his situation that he was dealing with Warner Brothers at the time. So then we go to track number 6 called Zana Lee. And this is Prince going back to his more provocative, raunchy style. This is the bluesy number, a really cool bluesy number. One of my favorites on the album. It's a funny track. This is Prince being a bit more sexually explicit, but with a sense of humor, because the song is about him having a threesome with 2 women, but the main woman being Zana Lee. And it's kind of funny, man, because the lyrics go, dang, I forgot the lyrics, man, but if you listen to the song and just read the lyrics, you'll know what I'm talking about. He talks about how he gets him in the mood to do. He's using a lot of clever wordplay and stuff to describe a lot of the stuff that they do. But what's really funny though is that Prince also plays a character of a cop that's been called to their residence because the whole rendezvous has gotten out of control and it's disturbing the neighbors. The cop comes and he looks in the window, he sees what's going on, what's taking place, and he gets turned on and he actually starts, masturbating to the whole scene that he's watching. It's pretty funny, but Prince plays that character. It's a pretty funny song, but definitely one of the best like bluesy numbers on this record. Then I Rock, Therefore I Am. This is another one where Rosie Gaines makes her return on the song. This is more of a funkier number, more funkier rock hip hop number. Features the guest appearances from a Stepper Ranks and a rapper named Scrap D. Stepper Ranks, he provides a more ragga style. Scrap D is more of a traditional hip hop artist who I think was signed to MPG at the time. But this is a song about, self-esteem, being confident in who you are as a person, man. Because the whole chorus is called I Rock, Therefore I Am. I don't need you to tell me I'm in the band. And then they talk about I don't need suggestions about my hair or the clothes I wear. If everybody is accepts your BS, I wouldn't care. I rather put on something you wouldn't dare. But I really enjoy that whole message of self-esteem and being confident in who you are as a person and not letting other people's opinions dictate who you are, man. I really did that message, man. Then we go to the next song called Into the Light, and this is more of a more of a lighter rock song. It's not as soft as Dinner and Dolores, but it has a real nice piano, really nice melodies going along with it. Surface level, the song is about one thing ending so another can begin, but deeper meaning would be this song is about Prince's relationship with Warner Brothers ending and him continuing on to his next journey, which was him being independent. His emancipation. That's what this record was the prelude to. But a really great song that I enjoy very much. It's just got a really beautiful message. It's a beautiful song that I really enjoy. And the next song is I Will, and Into the Light and I Will. Most fans of this album, most Prince fans, they usually put the 2 songs together because Into the Light is only 2 minutes and 46 seconds, and it abruptly ends and goes right into I Will. So most people put those songs together and connect them. But I Will is a more somber, more lighter approach. Honestly, I Will to me is like a continuation of Into the Light, but Prince is saying it's a hopeful song where Prince is talking about he knows that journey he was going to take, leaving Warner Brothers and going his own way independent was going to be rough. It was going to be a rough journey, but he knows that it was all going to work out for the best in the end. So that was a really cool song, man. I like both of those tracks. Those are probably 2 of my favorites on here, man. Then after that, we get into Dig You Better. Dig You Better is a more funkier hip hop, almost New Jack Swing type of track, man. The beat is very up tempo, like in the style of New Jack Swing. So I don't know exactly when he recorded this, because 1996, New Jack Swing wasn't necessarily that popular at that point, but it could have been one of the songs he recorded around 93 or so forth. But I forgot to mention that Rosie Gaines is also on Into the Light and I Will. and she also appears on Dig You Better as well. This song is essentially about people only appreciating what you've done after you're dead. That's what this song is about. Prince is basically about how during this particular period in Prince's career, he was getting a lot of ridicule and criticism from the mainstream media because a lot of his tactics that he took in rebelling against Warner Brothers, such as changing his name to the unpronounceable symbol, or as a lot of people may call it, the love symbol. Him writing slave on the side of his face, because this was during the slave era of his career. A lot of people made light of that. You know, he did an interview one time, which I remember seeing as a little kid. I forget what show that was, but him and Maite, they was on some talk show, and he had a mask on. He had this mask on, and he wouldn't talk to the interviewer. Everything the interviewer would ask him, he would whisper in Maite's ear, and she would say, and she would talk for him. A lot of people were like ridiculing him because of that. And he's basically saying that those same people are going to turn, after he's gone, those same people are going to turn around and probably start reevaluating and actually praising what he had done. But he's going to be dead at that point, which that's pretty much what happened. That's pretty much what happened, because I seen a lot of, when he died, there was a lot of publications who initially was critical of a lot of the stuff he did, especially harshly critical of a lot of the music he put out during this period. They've gone back since his death, and they've like reevaluated a lot of these records, and they're like, wait, these records really were not terrible. They were actually pretty good. And then there's a lot of people who stopped listening to Prince after the 80s, and then now they're going back and listening to some of these records, and they were like, dang, why did I not listen to any of this stuff? This was good music. So that's basically what it's about. You know, people only appreciating what you've done after you're gone. And then also, you can also look at it this way. It's about how the record labels make more money off of you after you're dead. Think about it. Most of these artists like Tupac, Michael Jackson, Prince, probably, John Lennon, most of these big artists, when they suddenly die, their stock goes way up. So these labels make a buku of money off of these artists when they pass away, man. So it can be taken as that. And then the last song is called Had You, which is the lightest song on the album. It's a minimalist song. It features like acoustic guitars, a bit of electric guitar, mostly feedback. But this is essentially Prince's FU to Warner Brothers. It's a sad song. You can hear in the Prince's vocal approach how somber he is singing this song. And most people connect Had You to For You. Now, anybody that knows Prince's first album called For You, the title song For You was like an intro track that was about the same length as Had You, which is 1 minute and 26 seconds. But Had You was like a very like kind of light, but more happier, more uplifting, like kind of choral type intro that he had on For You. You could tell that Prince was a bit more happier when he recorded this, and it's kind of just bringing his career at that time full circle, because For You was the beginning of his journey with Warner Brothers and so forth, and Had You is an ending, very acrimoniously, might I add. And you can tell by the approach, because the guitar that he's using is it's a lot of like aggressive feedback and so forth. So it adds to that emotion of what he was going through. So for the most part, man, I gotta say that Chaos in Disorder, I mean, I think it's a very overlooked album, mainly because Prince really didn't do a lot to promote this record. He pretty much just put it out as a contractual obligation. He only released one single, and that was over in the UK. And he didn't get behind it as much as he did with the Gold Experience, because by the time that this record came out, he was already focused on emancipation. There's a channel here called The Violet Reality. They do a video series called The Facts You Didn't Know on Prince records, and when they did theirs on Chaos in Disorder, they talked about how when this album came out, he was already focusing on emancipation, releasing like promotional singles and things of that nature at that point. So he pretty much just throw this album out. But I think the biggest misconception about Chaos in Disorder is that it's subpar material, which I totally disagree with. To each his own. And I could be biased because I'm a huge fan of Prince's more rock oriented sound, because he was really great. He was a really great guitarist, and I just dug anything where he implemented a lot more rock guitar and a lot more shredding, and he does that a lot on this record. So my opinion could be biased, but I'm just saying, don't just chalk this album up as subpar material. Definitely go and check it out for yourself before you just throw it off to the side, man, because I think it's definitely a really good record, man. It's definitely angsty, more like a kind of a grunge approach in a lot of ways because of the whole situation that was going down with him and Warner Brothers. But I definitely believe that this is one of his most solid records, especially during this period, man. I enjoy it quite a bit. I listen to it quite often, as a matter of fact, man. So definitely go and check this album out before you just kind of judge it as this is just subpar material. Because me personally, I disagree with it. I think this is a wonderful record that really, I think if it had been promoted a little bit more, it might would have got a little bit more recognition. But that's it. Those are my thoughts on Chaos in Disorder. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope you guys, anybody out there who may not have heard this album, hope it influenced you to go check it out for yourself and determine your own opinion on it. But with that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in to this episode of the Boombox Guru. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a like, hit that thumbs up button, helps with the algorithm. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you'll be notified anytime I drop new content. Also, you can hit my description and check out my social media accounts. I'm most active on IG, so you can definitely give me a follow there. I want to say thank you to everybody that has been watching the video. Shout out to all my old and new subscribers. And as always, I hope everybody has a blessed day, a blessed week, and love, peace, and happiness. Peace out.